Hello everyone, welcome to my second video. In this video we're going to learn how to write hello world, and we're going to learn about some of the useful data types that we're going to use in the later videos. So let's get to it. Start up your Eclipse program that we have downloaded and installed in the last video. If you don't know how to do that, or if you didn't watch my last video, please go back and watch how to install this video. Workspace is default as d/java as we did in the last video, so you could just click on launch. It will launch Eclipse, the IDE of Eclipse. Okay, so by default this is what your screen should look like. You could click on create a new Java project here, or you could go to the top left corner, file, new Java project. Now let's call that HWorld. Okay. Use default location, which is d/java/HWorld. Let's say you don't want to choose that location. Let's say you want to choose a different location. You click browse. Well, first you uncheck this default location, and then you click browse here. You select whatever folder you want to select. We want to create a new folder here. Let's call that ot_proj. Let's select that folder, but wait, we want to create another folder inside it. We want to call that what we call the project HWorld. HWorld. Okay, we're gonna call this HWorld. You want to select that folder, and you want to click next. Unclick the create module info.java file, and then click finish. Once you click finish, nothing really happens on this screen, unfortunately. So on the top left corner, right under file, you'll see a double window symbol. It should restore this side of the screen for you. So when you click on that, it restores. We have a couple of things that we tried before. Couple of different projects that we tried before. I'm gonna delete them, so we're not gonna use them. But this is where all your essentially all the projects that you're gonna work on, that's gonna be stored here on this package explorer. That's where it's gonna show. That's what the package explorer is for. The right side of the screen where Eclipse sign was, I just closed it. You don't really need that. Just click on the source, right click on that, new, click on class, and then let's call this hello world. Right here. So I started my writing with a smaller case HELLOWORLD, and then on the top, look, there's an exclamation sign that says type 9 discouraged by convention. Java type names usually start with the uppercase letter. So there are Java conventions where people write the class names starting with a capital letter. Some language they start with a smaller letter. Some things are written starting smaller case letter. Some things with a uppercase letter. So there are different type of conventions. There are Java conventions, and usually they would tell you if you do something that is out of convention, it will tell you, oh no, this is discouraged. This is not how we do this in Java. Anyways, you want to click on public static void main string args. The reason why you want to do that is that's going to automatically create a method for you inside the class. What is a class and what is a method? We'll learn more about that in a later video, but for now, you just want to learn how to make a hello world program and learn the basics of it before you go to those advanced topics. So let's click finish. This is your this is the automated things that program was created. That box that you check marked, that thing created this automatic thing. So public class hello world, this is our class that we created, and inside the class there's a main method that is created. That's where, like, when you So when you write a bunch of code, you may have a bunch of different classes or whatever, but in the end of the day, when you run the program, the first place the program is going to go to is this main method. In wherever, whichever class it is in, it doesn't matter. Wherever the program finds this main method, that's where the program will start running, and then from there it's going to go to other codes that you wrote below or above or wherever. So this is where we're going to write our code. So let's write our hello world code. The way we write hello world code is we write system dot out dot. Now notice this, anytime I write a catchword command and I press dot, all the thing that I can write under that dot is suggested to me. And it's like a short filter. What we have to type is println. So if I start writing print, look, all the other things are filtered out. Everything associated with the print is shown to me right now. Now, so all these different functions that are available to me, I personally don't know all of them, and you will be confused which one should I use. There's so many print options, and you may wonder, like, I don't know which one to use. Should I use the first one? Should I use the second one? Great thing about this is that if you hover over one of them, there is a small thing that just popped up here, yellowish looking. This thing should tell you what it does. So for example, the first one, print boolean b, it prints a boolean value. The string produced, yada 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 yada. But you know the basic stuff. Parameters, b boolean is to be printed. So if you put a boolean in inside the parentheses after writing the print, whatever the boolean value that you're going to write, that's what's going to be printed. Now let's go back and let's put the dot again, and let's type print, and let's click on something else. Let's click on float. If we click on float, it says, oh, it prints a floating point number. So these are all different data types. There's boolean, char, double, float, int, long. I'm going to talk about them later on, but you don't need, like, for now, starting out for the basics, you don't need to know about all of these different type of data types. There's a few that you need to know, but as we go along, we're going to learn about all the different type of data types. So we want to print ln, and then once you type println, you put that parenthesis, or you could select it from there as well. Let's select it from there. Out dot print dot print ln. You want to select the empty box here, and or you could select this string one as well. I want to select the empty one, and inside the parentheses you want to put quotation mark, 2 of them, right? So the 2 quotation mark, and inside the quotation mark, whatever you type is the thing that is going to be printed in the console down here below. So we want to write hello world, but you may type whatever, hello world, let's say T exclamation, and then right here, see on right where that green play sign, right under project, if you click that, it says run hello world.java. It's gonna run this file, and it's gonna display it on this console. So if we click on this, you're gonna say, oh, do you want to run this file? You'll say, okay, yeah, I want to run this file, and then hello world tells you. Let's say you want to say hello OT, say hello OT, and then play, okay, and then hello OT. That's how you write hello world in Java. So you may wonder, what is this thing right here, and why is this in green, and why are these in purple, why is this in blue, why this is in a different shade of blue? So these are different types of things in Java. That's why they're shaded a little bit differently. This is marking that this is an IO. This is marking that this is a string. Anytime you type something like public static or void, these type of words, class, these type of Java words, they are catchphrases sort of in Java. They are marked as purple. It's easier for you to visualize them basically. So this shade of green, what is this thing right here? I've talked about this, I've kind of talked about this, and this is just a package. But what is this really? This is called a comment. When you run code, whatever is in comment, it's not like the code ignores that thing. Why is this useful? Well, it's useful if you're writing the code, and then looking at this couple of years later, and let's say you write a huge code of thousands of lines. It's easy to get lost in codes, even if you wrote it. And so, if you're revisiting a code, or if someone else is reading your code, it's good if you left them a clue of what each line or what each method does. So for example, in this method, it's the main method, so we don't need to write anything, but we could leave it as a comment as main method. So anyone who's opening this file, they'll read this, they'll be like, okay, without reading the code, I know this is a main method. Someone told me that this is a main method. And when you run the program, this program is going to ignore this part, whatever you write. This is basically human interaction with code, basically, kind of, you could say. Codes are not human readable unless you know how to write codes, but this is human readable. Anyone could read these without knowing code, and like, oh, this is a main method, this is where the main method is stored. What is this? This prints the string hello world. So yeah, so when you read this, you're like, oh, this statement prints string hello world. So what is string, by the way? String is basically a word or a sentence, you could say. So if you're writing, hey, my name is OT, that's a string. That's something you want to print to console. That's a string. Hey, OT owe me $5. Okay, that's a string that you want to write. That's a string type. So that's called a string type, yeah. And then there are different other types of variables. So let me tell you the different type of variable first. There are string, there are integer, there are float. These are the main three that you need to know for now. What are the difference between these three? That's what we're gonna talk about in this video. So as we know, if you're writing a sentence or a word, that's sort of like seen as a string, right? So an integer is basically a whole number. So if you're like adding and subtracting different type of things, that's basically if you're adding and subtracting whole numbers, let's say 56, that's basically an integer. Floating point is basically decimal numbers. It's same thing as integer, except now you have decimal. So you have, let's say, 6.56. Okay, that's your floating point. The difference between floating is this is just a whole number, this is just a decimal number, and strings are basically words or sentences. So let's print out each of them, and let's kind of find the difference between them. So we already printed a string, which is a hello OT. So let's print an integer. Now let's get rid of the string. And by the way, whenever you print a string, you always have to put that quotation inside, okay? Or else, it's not gonna work. So if we're trying to print an integer or a floating point, then we don't have to put that parenthesis. Sorry, not parenthesis, quotation mark. So let's get rid of that and let's print 56. Just 56 inside that parenthesis. System.out.println, and then inside the parenthesis 56, and let's click play. and look, it's printed 56. And now let's try to do a floating point, 6.56. So 6.56. Now let's click play again. Okay, and look, 6.56. So whatever you put, this, we tried printing a floating point, an integer, and a string. Now you know the difference between these three. Next video, since this is getting pretty long, we're gonna learn how to manipulate this different type of data types to do certain things. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.